Welcome to Brain Boogerz, where we explore the intersections of mental health, personal growth, and sometimes the paths less traveled. I'm MJ, and today we're talking about Yule, the Winter Solstice, one of the most quietly powerful points on the wheel of the year. And before anybody's brain goes straight to witchy, weird, or that old-timey Christmas word, let me tell you why I'm even doing this episode. Alright, so I grew up Pentecostal, and depending on the church culture you grew up in, you already know how it can go. Certain things aren't just not for us. They're framed as dangerous, demonic, or don't even ask questions about it. I remember hearing teachings that were against things like colored trees, and the whole Santa Claus conversation wasn't really framed as, let's keep the focus on children, family, and community. It was more like a hardline message, Jesus is the reason for the season. Now listen, there's nothing wrong with wanting to center your faith. That's not what I'm here to drag. What I'm saying is, in a lot of churches, we weren't really taught about tradition, how practices and festivals get adopted, how cultures blend, how history shapes what we call normal. So for a long time, words like pagan, witch, solstice, even ritual, they weren't neutral words. They were loaded words. They came with a side of fear. And then you get older. You live some life, you watch people you love struggle, you watch people you love heal. And at some point, I did what a lot of curious people eventually do. I jumped in feet first. I started learning about earth-based practices, not because I was trying to be edgy, not because I was trying to be a backslider, but because I wanted to understand what I had been told to fear. And what I found underneath all the stereotypes was something very human: community, support, and hope. Okay, so quick timeout though, because I can feel somebody listening like, MJ, are we allowed to be here right now? Is this gonna make my grandma's prayer chain? If you're Christian, if you love Jesus, if you're in church every week, if you're deconstructing, if you're still side-eyeing this whole topic, you're safe here. I'm not here to roast your faith. I'm not here to start a holy war in your living room. I'm here to talk about history, meaning, and mental health. Because the real goal is growth, healing, and understanding ourselves. So breathe. Keep listening. If something isn't for you, leave it on the table. But if something helps you, take it and run. I'm here to do what we do on Brain Boogerz. Separate propaganda from practice, separate stereotype from substance, and take what's useful for growth. Because when you strip it down, Yule is not some spooky underground thing. Yule is a very human moment, the longest night of the year, and the point where we realize the light is coming back. So, before we get started, click subscribe and tap the notification bell so you never miss the latest. And if this episode sparks discovery and introspection, share it with someone who loves a good mental jog. Also, quick reminder, the content shared here is based on my personal experiences, wonderings, and research. We promote discovery, introspection, and growth as individuals and as a society. If you are seeking mental health support, please seek a qualified mental health professional. While we do our best as a village, sometimes it takes a trained, seasoned individual to aid in our recovery. Alright, so let's zoom out and take a look at the Wheel of the Year. In many modern pagan and Wiccan traditions, the year is mapped as a cycle called the Wheel of the Year, made up of 8 Sabbats. These are seasonal markers tied to the sun's movement and the agricultural rhythm of the land. Think of it like a seasonal framework for life management. Times to plant, times to grow, times to harvest, times to rest, times to release, and times to begin again. And if you're new to this, here's the quick list of the 8 Sabbats. They are 1. Samhain, 2. Yule, 3. Imbolc, 4. Ostara, 5. Beltan, 6. Lita, 7. Lammas, and 8. Mabon. Now, if you ever look this up, you'll likely see different names, but it's for the same Sabbat. Okay, so I'm going to say something that might sound obvious, but it matters. The wheel of the year is basically a reminder that you are not a machine. You're a living thing, and living things have seasons. So if you've been beating yourself up because you're not as productive in winter, or you're not as social, or your energy is lower, nature is literally doing the same thing. Trees aren't apologizing for being bare. Yule is the turning point in that cycle. It's the moment where nature says, yes, it's dark, but the direction is changing. Alright, so what is Yule? Yule is the celebration of the winter solstice, usually around December 21st in the northern hemisphere. It's the longest night and the shortest day of the year. After this point, the days slowly start to get longer again, minute by minute, breath by breath. So the core theme of Yule is return of the light, hope in darkness, endurance, rebirth, warmth, community, and mean-making. And if you're listening like, MJ, that's basically my whole winter coping strategy, yes, exactly. Because for a lot of us, winter isn't just a season, winter is a mood. Winter can be grief, winter can be burnout, winter can be the year catching up to you. So Yule isn't pretending the darkness isn't real, it's saying the darkness is real and I'm still going to keep a light. So where does Yule come from? Well, Yule has roots in pre-Christian winter solstice traditions, especially in Germanic and Norse regions, where midwinter was a major seasonal event. Different cultures had different names and details, but the shared reality was the same. Winter is harsh, food can be scarce, darkness messes with mood, and community keeps you alive. So people marked this time with fire, feasting, storytelling, evergreens, and rituals for protection and renewal. And over time, as cultures mixed and religions shifted, many solstice customs blended into the winter holiday season we recognize today. Here's the part I love. Yule isn't one thing. It's a seasonal truth that people have been responding to for a very long time. So, are there any similarities to other cultures for winter solstice celebrations? Well, one of the easiest ways to demystify Yule is to realize humans everywhere noticed the solstice. Different cultures, same sky. Across history, you'll see themes like light and darkness with candles, lamps, and fires, gathering in generosity with feasts, gifts, and hospitality, honoring ancestors in continuity with stories and remembrance, and symbolic rebirth with sun returning and a new cycle. Here are some other examples without turning this into a college lecture. Winter solstice festivals across Europe centered on fire, feasting, and midwinter survival. Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights, emphasizes light and perseverance. Kwanzaa, in late December, emphasizes community, values, and reflection. And there are Christmas traditions that overlap with solstice symbolism, such as lights, evergreens, feasts, and generosity. The key point here is, I'm not saying these are the same thing. I'm saying there's a shared human pattern. When it's dark, we create light. So if you've ever lit candles in winter, decorated with evergreen, gathered with people you love, cooked comfort food, or reflected on the year, you already understand the emotional logic of Yule. Now, here are some Yule symbols and why they hit. These are classic Yule symbols that really do something psychologically. First, evergreens, such as pine, fir, holly, and ivy. Evergreens stay green through winter. They're a living reminder life persists. If you're in a season where you feel emotionally wintered, evergreens are a visual cue that endurance is a form of strength. Then there are candles and lights. Light is both literal and symbolic. It's warmth, safety, direction, and hope. And if you struggle with winter blues, light is also practical. Even a small lamp or candle moment can shift your nervous system from tight to settled. There's the Yule log. Traditionally, a large log burned to welcome back the sun and protect the home. A modern version of this is a candle, a fireplace, a string of lights, Or yes, a dessert roll cake. No gatekeeping. Then there's wreaths and circles. The circle is the cycle. The year turns, you turn with it. If you need a reminder that what you're going through won't last forever, circles are your friend. And how about those colors of Yule? If Samhain feels like deep autumn, Yule is winter's heartbeat. Common Yule colors are green for endurance, life, and resilience, red for vitality, warmth, and courage, gold for the sun, renewal and abundance, white for stillness, clarity, clean slate energy, and silver for moonlight, reflection, and intuition. Here's a practical tip. If you're decorating or setting a vibe, pick 2 to 3 colors and keep it simple. The point is intention, not Pinterest. What about those scents of Yule? You know, scent is memory, scent is nervous system regulation, scent is mood. So some classic Yule scents are pine, fir, and cedar. These are grounding. There's cinnamon and clove that give you warmth and comfort. There's orange and citrus that give you brightness and a bit of a lift. Frankincense and myrrh remind you of ritual and stillness. And rosemary, you can use this for clarity and protection symbolism. Here's some ways to do it. You can use a simmer pot, a candle, essential oils, tea, or literally walking past a tree lot and inhaling like a cartoon character. And what about those foods of Yule? Yule food is basically warm, dense, shared, and seasonal. Common themes are breads and cakes for comfort, roasted root vegetables for earth and stability, spiced drinks for warmth and community, citrus, a little sun in your mouth, and nuts and dried fruits, they represent stored abundance. Some simple Yule menu ideas are spiced cider or hot tea, hearty soup or stew, fresh bread, oranges with cinnamon, or dark chocolate. And if your budget is $0, a mug of something warm and a moment of intention still counts. Now, how do you celebrate Yule in the city? Now, city Yule is underrated. Here are some city-friendly Yule ideas. You could do a sunrise or sunset walk. Yes, even between buildings. You could visit a botanical garden or conservatory for green life therapy. You could light a candle in your window as a light returns signal. You can make a tiny altar with evergreen sprig, a candle, and a note to yourself. You can donate or tip generously. Solstice generosity is ancient. Or you can host a long night dinner with soup, bread, low lights, and real conversation. City Yule is about creating warmth on purpose. And what about celebrating Yule away from the city? If you've got access to nature, Yule gets very primal very fast. Here are some nature-based Yule ideas. 1. A bonfire, safely, or outdoor candle circle. 2. Stargazing on the longest night. 3. Evergreen gathering, only what's ethical and allowed. 4. A silent walk, listen for winter stillness. Or 5. Offerings of gratitude, water poured onto earth, a spoken thanks, or a prayer. The point isn't performance, the point is presence. And what if you're observing Yule in solitude? Solitude doesn't have to mean loneliness, it can mean clarity. A simple solo ritual here is 1. Turn off bright overhead lights. 2. Light one candle. 3. Put one hand on your chest or belly and take 5 slow, deep breaths. 4. Write down what felt heavy this year, what am I ready to release, and what light do I want to invite back. 5. Read it out loud. And 6. Close with, minute by minute, the light returns. Here are some optional body-based add-ons. You can do a 60-second stretch, a short walk, or a warm shower like you're rinsing off the year. And what about observing Yule with others? Well, community is one of the oldest survival tools we have. Some group Yule ideas are a candle circle, where each person shares one thing they're releasing and one thing they're calling in. Or story night, telling family stories, honoring ancestors, or naming what carried you. A potluck with a theme, like warm foods only or sun-colored foods. Or even a Yule log moment, where everyone writes a hope on paper and places it near the fire or candle. Keep it simple and keep it sincere. Alright, so now what does Yule teach us about mental health and growth reframing? Here's the growth-minded takeaway. Yule doesn't pretend it isn't dark. It acknowledges the darkness and then chooses a practice that says, I can endure, I can rest, I can reflect, and I can begin again. If you deal with winter blues, grief, burnout, or just the weight of life, Yule is a reminder that rest is not failure. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simplify, warm up, tell the truth, and keep a small light going. So, pause and ask yourself, where do I need to stop forcing growth and allow rest? What part of my life is asking for warmth and consistency, not intensity? And what does light returning look like for me practically? And practical can be going to bed on time, drinking water, taking a walk, calling a friend, booking the appointment, or finally letting something go. So, as we wrap up, you don't have to be pagan or Wiccan to find value in Yule. Try this reflection prompt. What light am I ready to welcome back into my life? And here's an action step. Tonight, light a candle, drink something warm, text one person you care about, or forgive yourself for not being at 100% right now. Well, thanks for joining me on Brain Boogerz. If you have questions, stories, or want to share your own experiences, I'd love to hear from you. Don't forget to tap the notification bell, hit subscribe, and share this episode with someone who might enjoy a bit of a mental jog and a search for clarity. Until next time, keep growing, keep reflecting, and remember, every season has something to teach us. Join me next time where we'll pick and dig in on Brain Boogerz.